All right, welcome back. And sorry for the clickbaity title, but it is true. I decided to take a break from iRacing, and before all the haters start flaming me and saying how iRacing is the best thing ever, let me step back and explain my thinking on this, because I think it's all because I actually enjoy iRacing so much and want to dive into my thinking here. So recently what happened was I got that regular email from iRacing about my renewal status, and I was kind of looking at the $15 a month, and I thought, do I really want to keep spending $15 on this? Am I getting the true value out of it that I used to? And I found myself thinking, like, not really. I'm just not getting the value out of this anymore. And so that led me to down the kind of this thinking of like, you know what, I'm just not going to resubscribe and see where things go. And I was wondering, I was asking myself, why is that? What led to my initial reaction? There were a couple things driving it. Just for background, like I've been a regular subscriber of iRacing for many years. A couple things have changed that led me to kind of put this on hold. The first of that is life is simply just busy. You know, all the commitments you have in life, it's becoming increasingly difficult to set time aside to practice for a race, set at least an hour aside, add a scheduled time slot, dedicate to a race, which I think, as we all know, may or may not go well. So you could spend all that time, you could practice, and then who knows, maybe you don't make it out of the first few corners, and you know, that's a whole lot of time lost. I found myself just not opting to race anymore. Not because I hated it, but you know, like I said, like life gets busy and you just start to choose other things with it. And I was like, I don't really want to spend my time that way. So I found I was racing less and less, and I was using it as just like a lapping simulator more and more. It's like, okay, well, it's fine, but I'm just not using a lot of the value the service provides. And in the past, I've done the whole grind to get your I rating up, and I've gotten all stressed out about that. And it's just not something I want to do anymore, and I don't particularly care about anymore. And I could see doing it again in the future, but again, now is just not the time with everything else going on to kind of go grind for a high I rating and make sure we're getting in the top splits and all that. And then another one of the things that's really changed is, if you watch kind of the other parts of this channel, I've been fortunate to be able to spend more time like on an actual track. My interests have kind of shifted to there. And what's happened is I find when I'm sitting in front of a simulator, I'm much more interested in playing with setups and trying different car types, car configurations, and just understanding how cars behave differently, how different designs of cars behave, and then how setups affect that. And I like playing with that much more than I do racing. So I find myself sitting in and just tweaking setups and understanding how the car feels, because I find myself mapping that to what I experience in real life much more. I don't know, I just find that more enjoyable right now. And then I find kind of crossing that between different simulators fun. So if you've seen kind of some of my more recent videos where I'm looking at different cars within Automobilista 2, and I'll do some future videos comparing cars across simulators, I actually find that to be really interesting. One particular car and setup works in one simulator, and then how it can feel like very different in the other. And then I actually like to then think about either how that relates to what I experience in real life or what I observe in real life. So I found just, you know, my interests have changed a little bit. And so again, not using one of the core value props of iRacing, which is kind of their amazing online matchmaking service. You know, another kind of reason for taking a break from it is the sim racing landscape is simply fantastic. 2023 was a great year, and there's so many good titles to choose from. If you look at, of course, we're talking about iRacing, but you have Automobilista 2 has come a long way. ACC, Assetto Corsa Competizione, is really, really good if you're into GT3s. Though, you know, everyone has their opinions about what's good or bad, but I'm going to say all up, the landscape is quite good. You have Assetto Corsa, the old classic, which now has support on low fuel motorsports for online racing. And then you have Rennsport coming up, which is looking good as well. And of course, there's Race Room, and I'm R Factor 2, of course. I always forget something. There's so many good titles out there, and I enjoy playing with each of them and understanding their trade-offs that, again, I'm just spending more of my time doing that. Didn't make the $15 a month worth it. And while we're talking about the $15 a month, I think one of the core value props you get out of that is the online racing service, the matchmaking and everything else. And Low Fuel Motorsports has really done a good job. Great platform with good racing and good matchmaking, and it's free and you can contribute if you want to, but I think if you're looking for affordable online racing with other platforms, it's a good option as well. And so all these together kind of made me step back and say, you know what, I think I'm just gonna save the monthly fee for a little bit and do some other things. And one of the other reasons I'm stepping back is I actually think iRacing has a super bright future and their development roadmap ahead I'm super interested in. So they have rain coming. I've read they're going to do some overhauls on the graphics engine, which is a personal pain point. I love very good graphics, and I think I read they hired some new members of that team, so I'm looking forward to what they do on the graphics side. And all this work is going to take a long time to sort out. But what I have found from other games I play is that when I step away for a little bit and let the game evolve and go through a number of updates and then come back, I just enjoy it so much more. I'm looking forward to just stepping away, let the game evolve a little bit, playing with it again. So does this mean I don't like iRacing? I think some people will think that. Not at all. I actually like it a lot. And like I said earlier, I've been a subscriber for many, many years. I've done the iRating grind and I've enjoyed seeing the platform evolve with adding all the new tracks and the cars. And let me think if I can remember major features they've added. They went through the whole new tire model, the new damage models. They've enhanced the graphics to some degree. Definitely seen a lot, and I think it's come a long way. And I like it a lot for all the reasons above. It's just, I want to kind of step back and watch it evolve. And I also have to say, like, I kind of jumped into iRacing just straight up, and that's all I did when I got into sim racing. And I have to thank iRacing a ton for teaching me a lot about car control, pushing a car to limits, and really understanding how to handle it there. And it's probably because of iRacing I pushed myself to go find a local club and get into real track days. So it's been phenomenal. And because of the skills I gained using iRacing, I was able to kind of get out on a track pretty easily and feel very comfortable in a real car. Actually, that's probably a whole other topic in itself. In some ways, the overlap between what you do in the sim, it doesn't matter what sim, so we're not going to fight about that, but just the basics of car control and how it shifts over to real life is like alarmingly similar. So much so that sometimes when I get into the real car, I have to remind myself that it's not a video game, because you get in, you put on the helmet, and the world kind of disappears, and you're looking through your little viewport in the helmet, and you just go, and all of your instincts take over from what you've been doing in the video game. And I actually practice with the same car and the same track using Assetto Corsa, and it's almost like I'm sitting back practicing again. But then you realize, like, okay, well, this is a real car, and like there's real money, and your real safety is on the line. Anyway, I think the simulators on a whole do a really, really good job. Credit to iRacing for helping me learn everything I've learned. That said, I think like every sim, we could go into the pros and cons of every sim all day, and maybe I'll do that in some of the other videos. I'm not saying one is better than the other. And the one thing I want to be really clear about is I mostly drive GT3 cars in the Sims. I don't drive a GT3 car in real life, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you like what is more realistic or what isn't. I'm going to sit here and tell you like how they compare to each other and maybe how one behaves differently or how I would expect it to behave and didn't align with my expectations. But that's just my expectations, and they're just grounded in some local track days. But I'm not a GT3 racer, so I could be totally wrong. But I will say this. So one of the things for me with iRacing in particular, I really, really hope they continue to improve the tire model. I do find it to be a little still unforgiving. And what I mean by that is when you push the car over the edge in iRacing, is sometimes hard to kind of get it back under control, and you'll just spin off and hit a wall. And it could be the force feedback. I'm not sure if it's the tire model, the force feedback, etc. But I do find it to be less forgiving than other simulators. And in particular, I haven't found it to be that way in real life. And again, maybe I'm not pushing hard enough in real life. Maybe there's something I'm not doing to explain the difference. But I do hope they continue to evolve that over time, and I'm looking forward to the progress there. So that said, if you are new to sim racing and you're listening to this and you're asking yourself, well, should I get iRacing? What should I get? This is probably the wrong video for that. And there are tons of great content creators out there which will tell you all the differences and pros and cons and allow you to pick one. That said, I'll give you some opinions. If you're looking for probably some of the best online racing and you're open to a monthly fee, non-trivial fees for every car or track, give iRacing a try. It's great, and you will have a lot of fun with it. Don't buy into the notion that it is the end-all, be-all, best sim, most accurate sim. Like, don't let that pressure you into making a pretty significant purchase. Do your research, understand that there are lots of good options out there, and especially if you're new to sim racing, pretty much all all of them will help you get better and improve, and you'll have fun with it. You can do some online racing with low fuel motorsports, but don't feel pressured into jumping into iRacing because it is the best. And I feel like I fell for that a little bit and kind of had to step away and be like, well, no, there are other options out there, and I like them and I feel comfortable playing with them. So that's my one piece of advice. And with that is pretty much it for this video. I don't know how long I'm going to step away. Like, I could be completely full of it, to be honest, and maybe the rain update comes out in another quarter and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like the best thing ever. I have to try it, and I eat my words and whatever, who knows. But I'm actually just excited to try a whole bunch of other things in the sim racing world and save a little bit of money in the process. So I'm going to go off and do that and look for some more videos on from me, like comparing other titles. And yes, I do have some videos coming with some remaining iRacing content I've put together before my subscription went away. But that's all I have to say for now. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, and I will see you next time.